watching ABC's Wide World of Sport.
Helio Castroneves is a four-time CART winner, but last Sunday the 26-year-old reached a new emotional high, winning the Indy 500, elevating him among the racing elite. Is at the historic Milwaukee Mile. We're ready for coverage of the CART FedEx Championship Series, the Miller Lite 225. Hello and welcome to Milwaukee. I'm Paul Page, and Helio Castroneves, America's most recent overnight millionaire, is in this field and ready to start. But if he's going to climb the fence today, he's going to face much of the same issues he did just 1 week ago. It is very cold here. Tire temperatures are going to be critical. There's another former Indy 500 winner in the field, the 99 winner, Kenny Breck, who just 2 weeks ago scored his very first CART victory at the Twin Ring Motegi.
And as the field starts to pull away, Paul, it's Kenny Breck from the pole position. One thing he's managed to do this year is get a stranglehold on front row starting spot. Because rain wiped out qualifying yesterday, they're lined up by championship points. But for the fifth time, he's earned a front row spot this year. The irony is, the only time that he didn't start in the front row, he won 2 weeks ago in Japan. Now he's trying to get a stranglehold on the championship points chase as he paces this field from the pole position. Paul?
And Kenny Breck indeed at the top of the points. As we look, Helio Castroneves is second. And then that three-way tie between D'Amata, Tracy, and Vassar for third place. And again, it is the order of points that determines the lineup for the grid. Jon Beekhuis.
Well, that's right, Paul. And by virtue of that tie for third place, Jimmy Vassar will start in fifth spot today. You would say, well, that's a huge bonus for Jimmy Vassar and his Pat Patrick team because they haven't qualified as well as they would like this year. But actually, he rolled that car off the trailer on Friday and was fast right away. He was at the top of the time sheet, ended up being sixth overall by the end of Friday's practice. And he's also the car that is sporting a new paint job for the weekend. General Manager Jim McGee said, we want something that's going to stand out on the racetrack. I think they've definitely accomplished that.
Pass or be passed, eat or be eaten. If a driver isn't aggressive, if he doesn't maintain his momentum through traffic, things will change very quickly for him on this 1 mile oval. In a blink of an eye, he'll slide backwards. A driver has to have a car that he has confidence in, that he can put the power down early and hard coming off the corner in order to maximize his straight line speed. That's the key here at Milwaukee. But the big issue today is they haven't practiced in 2 days. The track will change with every lap. Whoever's guessed best will find themselves on the victory podium after 225 laps.
Kenny Breck starts on the pole. He has started every race but one this year from the front row. In the Kawasaki starting grid, he is alongside Helio Castroneves. Paul Tracy is a two-time Milwaukee winner. He won for Newman Haas in '95 and with Team Green in 1999. Tracy is alongside of Cristiano D'Amata on the second row. In the third row, one-time winner Jimmy Vassar and Jill DeBaron to the outside. Scott Dixon became the youngest CART winner in history earlier this season when he took the checkered flag at Masters. Dixon is in row 4 with Tony Kanaan alongside. In the fifth row, it's Christian Fitipaldi and five-time winner Michael Andretti. Row 6, Dario Franchitti and Bruno Junqueira. The seventh row, Max Pappas and rookie Nicholas Manassian. The eighth row, Alex Zanardi and Shinji Nakano. Row 9 is Roberto Moreno and Oriol Servia. The 10th row, Tora Takagi, Brian Herta. 11th row, Michel Jourdain Jr., Mauricio Guzman. Row 12, Adrian Fernandez and rookie Max Wilson. And the 13th row, the Players team, Alex Tagliani and Patrick Carpentier. Now the key is that fuel range because distance stop to stop is so absolutely critical.
The math is simple. Go 75 laps. It's a two-stop race.
The weather conditions here, as we suggested, are, well, to say the least, cold. cold, colder than a week ago in Indianapolis with track temperature at just 60 degrees. Show you our onboard cameras. Now look at this one. We finally have one in these very sophisticated cars that we can pan a little bit. That's on board with Mauricio Guzman. That'll be a neat view today.
And on board also with Gerould and Jon starting in 12th place.
Now, as we suggested, because they have lined up based on point standings, because qualifying was rained out, there were some people that got hurt and some who got help.
Well, you look at Unaired. He practiced 5th, is starting 15th. Brian Herta with 9th quickest on Friday. He's starting back in 20th, but it really helped Scott Dixon, winner at Nazareth. He was only 18th after the practice. He'll be starting 8th. Should make for some interesting action.
The field now on the backside of the Milwaukee Mile. Kenny Breck on the pole, Helio Castroneves alongside. As they come through the third, head for the fourth turn. The green flag awaits the start of the Miller Lite 225. Green is out. Here we go. Kenny Breck jumps right into the lead. But look at Helio Castroneves. But remember those gold tires. Castroneves gets in big trouble.
That looked like Cristiano D'Amato that got clipped going through there. Remember, he was also involved in the accident with Gerould and Jon on the start of the Motegi Japan race.
And once again, I'm sure when you hear the answers from the drivers, cold tires, very definitely going to be the answers. And it's such a shock because it's no surprise here at all. There's the start. Breck surges forward.
You can see Kenny had it right down on the white line. It was obvious Castroneves was trying to squeeze him down, trying to make sure that he wasn't up in the grave, but there just wasn't enough room. They touched. Hey, when you get that much traffic, there's no way to steer clear of everything.
Along came D'Amato.
Paul, you opened the show with the fact that cold tires would be an issue. I was thinking as they came down to the green flag, they've got to be so careful. You've got to remember these drivers are thinking, if someone else around them is being careful, then they're going to be aggressive. That's what created the problem.
Well, despite massive damage, there's Rick Reineman. He is the crew chief for Helio Castroneves. Despite massive damage, it looks like both of them are actually going to try to get their cars around to the pit area. How do you drive that all the way back? Helio Castroneves is out of his car, but D'Amato drove it all the way back to his pit, all the way from the incident, which for him was essentially in turn 2.
And think about the points implication of the championship. Helio Castroneves currently 2nd, Cristiano currently 3rd in the points championship. Remember, we came in with that 3-way tie between Tracy and Vassar and D'Amato for that 3rd place. This will certainly change the championship order by today's end.
We had a total reshuffle of the championship points 2 weeks ago at Motegi. And Helio Castroneves, who up until this moment had completed every lap this season, was the only man to do so. We'll be back with more from Milwaukee.
Just that fast.
Hey.
Last week, 1.2 million pouring the milk, and now pouring the Jack Daniels.
Some man Sullivan says there's only one letter change in champ.
And chump. Yep.
Well, welcome back to the Milwaukee Mile. Paul Page with Parker Johnstone. Under yellow after just the very first turn. The accident came on the first turn in the front row.
Kenny Breck takes the inside. Castroneves tries to go to the high side. Pinches Kenny down. There's no place for him to go. You can see him cross down the inside, collecting Cristiano D'Amato as they go by. Good driving by a lot of drivers clearing that accident on the way through. Watch once again. Paul Tracy tucks underneath. You can see DeFerrin up high. D'Amato has no place to go. Makes contact with the left front of Helio Castroneves.
And yeah, that blue car that was cutting right through the middle, you can see him over at the right side of your screen. That's Michael Andretti, who jumped forward. Big pass on the outside and moved well ahead.
Now watch from 12th place, Gerould and Jon starting to pick the power up. Says, whoa, we got a problem here. There's one class, 2 passes. There's some parks. Well, all in all, got through that
Tim Cindric is the president for Penske Racing, been on the radio with Helio. Is this a case of cold tires contributing?
No, I don't think so. I think we just ran out of room on the racetrack is all. And unfortunately, we even looked like we had it saved there, but D'Amata came by and clipped us there, and thought maybe we had a chance at least being like Nazareth where we could carry on and get through it. But when it's not your day, it's not your day, I guess.
Tim, the emotion from where you were a week ago at Indianapolis to this moment, can you describe what it now feels like?
Yeah, I mean, Indianapolis, well, obviously it was our day then, but we had 17 races left in this championship, and that's what we're here for. So obviously it's disappointing for everyone. Everybody worked so hard this week to get ready, and thought we were going to have a good day, but we'll have to come back to Detroit and go from there.
Thank you, sir. Jan?
Gary, a moment ago we had Cristiano D'Amata right here, but he just couldn't control his emotions. You talk about the emotions for Castroneves, the same here for D'Amata. He did tell me just before he left, though, he wanted to go back and be by himself at the trailer, that he thought that both Kenny Breck and Castroneves were racing into the first turn, not like it was the first turn, but as though it was the last turn of the race. He doesn't necessarily think it was cold tires. He thinks 2 aggressive moves at the start of the race, and of course, he was an innocent victim, and his car is trashed.
Well, they're both Tim Cindric and now through Jon Beekhuis, the report on Cristiano D'Amata, both saying not necessarily tires, just maybe a couple people turned their brains off.
Well, from what I could see, Kenny Breck had the inside line, made a nice start down to the inside of turn 1. Castroneves tried to take the high side, started to run out of racing room. You've got to remember, this track is very, very green. It's you get your heart up in your throat getting up in the gray. He moved down, they made contact. Right side to left side, Kenny Breck to Helio Castroneves. Kenny had no place to go. Castroneves, as Tim Cindric said, had it gathered up. D'Amata tried to go down the inside, and there just wasn't any room there.
And this is the second time that Cristiano D'Amata has suffered badly right on the start of a race. Let's just take you back to the Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. Junqueira lost it, and then along came Cristiano D'Amata. That's on the backstretch of the first lap, and that's after starting the season as the very first winner of the season. This is today here in Milwaukee. Strange, because it looked like he had it made. It looked like he was going to stay right down low and just get past, but it didn't work out that way.
No, it worked out for everyone else but Cristiano D'Amata. I spoke to Cristiano this morning. He said he wasn't sure if his car was really the way he wanted it to after the warm-up, but he said the car's felt that way every race this year, and it's been great on race day. He was very optimistic about winning on the Milwaukee Mile.
Adrian Fernandez comes in to top up on fuel, so already the whole strategy begins to play there. Indianapolis to Milwaukee, always 1 week apart, always an interesting relationship. Helio Castroneves comes from Indianapolis as the winner, the race here, and is first out. A year ago, Montoya came and won both races, and in fact, there's the list for you of drivers who have won Indianapolis and then come right up to win at Milwaukee. Helio Castroneves out of the medical center now, so they've taken a look at him. Obviously, he is not injured, except perhaps for his pride.
Well, 0 to 0 just that quickly, and that's why you've got to enjoy every moment of that championship. Heck, he'll be on David Letterman tomorrow, so he'll still be able to celebrate a little bit even after today's start.
You think Dave might prod him a little bit on this?
Knowing Dave, probably.
Especially since it was his car he was racing against. Ready to go green once again. Kenny Breck brings him down. Green flag is out. Green. Breck followed by Tracy, followed by DeFerrin. And a car against the wall again, and this time it's Tracy.
Well, we're not doing so well today, Paul.
Yeah, explain this one to me. Okay. Well, that's disappointing. First lap and
well, let's get back to the championship. We've now taken out Helio Castroneves, Cristiano D'Amata, and this is now the tie for third. In fourth place, Paul Tracy. We'll have a look at it here. You can see them coming down. Paul Tracy right here on your screen. Gets in on the brakes on the way into the corner. The back end steps out. Makes contact with the back of the car up against the wall. So once again, as you said or alluded to at the opening of the show, cold tires in this particular case causing what is certainly the problem on the way in. And that lack of track time, they only got half the practice they were expecting on Friday, did not run on Saturday. They had a warm-up this morning, but almost all the teams were scrubbing between 3 to 5 sets of tires. Certainly didn't have a chance to get the cars set up. Paul Tracy, one of the guys with Michael Andretti we were looking for to be very aggressive in these particular difficult conditions. And even the aggressive, talented Paul Tracy got caught out on this restart.
So we're actually looking at a couple of things. The track temperature. We're also looking at very limited, only total of 2.5 hours of practice time. 2 hours on Friday, rained all day yesterday, and then the morning warm-up session. And so now with 12 laps complete, we have not yet completed a lap under the green flag. Jon Beekhuis.
And not the kind of start that Barry Green was hoping for. I understand that Paul didn't say anything on the radio, but any data or anything you saw that you think it could attribute it to?
Well, you know, just watching the replay of it happen so early in the corner, I don't know. It could well be something let go, but I just don't believe it would have been his tire temperatures that early in the corner. But no, he had to get out of it pretty quick. That's too bad. But you know, we've got Dario sitting back there who we think just got the bad end of the stick on that first yellow and finished up way down the back. But he's got a good race car, and of course Michael up front.
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
Yeah, the other car, Dario Franchitti, is currently lined up 17th.
And the other drivers that we've been keeping track of, we talked about Andretti's now up to 3rd with Tracy's retirement. Zanardi has gone from 15th to 10th, and Brian Herta, who we mentioned, has gone from 20th to 14th with this attrition.
So now they work to get Paul Tracy's battered car off the track, and Helio Castroneves has come back out and made himself available, Gary.
Helio, can you describe the emotion of what you must feel after the elation of an unbelievable week to have this happen now?
I tell you, I mean, it's been a busy week, no doubt about it. It's been great. Unfortunately, it's not the way you want to end up. I guess it was a race accident, a racing incident, nothing that I can judge about. I think too cold, but
Were the cold tires a factor as you tried to race Kenny?
no, actually he braked early, and then I just went outside because basically it was my line. I had no trouble with that until I don't know if he touched me or it spun, or I don't know, something got a little I don't know if I got contact. But unfortunately, I mean, that's not the way you want to end up. Let's go for the next one.
All right, no other choice. Thank you.
Well, we now have essentially two attributions that it may not, in fact, be the cold nor the tires. Whatever it is, we've now had 2 sessions of yellow in the Miller Lite 225 and have yet to have a lap under green. Update, they are just burning the drag strip up down in Joliet, Illinois for the Lucas Oil NHRA Nationals. Look at this, 56-year-old Kenny Bernstein, top fuel, a national record ET at 4.477. Same is true for John Force and Funny Car, 4.763. 2 brand new national records. And of course, for coverage of the Lucas Oil NHRA Nationals, the first of 2 national events to be held at Route 66 Raceway in 2001. You can catch it on ESPN2. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Well, we've completed 19 miles, 19 laps, and we don't have a full lap under green yet. They're hoping to get the green flag out as they cross the line next time by. Already the pace car has begun to accelerate the field. The field is under the control of the leader, Kenny Breck. Joe DeFerrin is right behind him, followed by Michael Andretti and Jimmy Vasser. So 2 former winners sitting there 3rd and 4th right now. Breck keeps them slow down through turn 3. Michael's got himself poised just outside.
Great restart by Kenny Breck and a good jump on Gilles DeFerrin.
Gilles DeFerrin sweeps across the front of Michael Andretti, but Kenny Breck now begins to pull away. Can they make it through turn 1? Michael's going to try DeFerrin in turn 1. He goes outside. Michael has DeFerrin in 2nd place. Breck leads him down the backstretch. Into turn 3 and 4 now. Jimmy Vasser lines up behind DeFerrin. And Dario Franchitti, who did make a stop for fuel, so he is not in this order, but he's sitting up there toward the front of the field. He's actually a lap down. Tony Kanaan is the next in the line, running in 5th place, right behind Franchitti. Michael closes on the leader.
He closed that gap very quickly. Two very aggressive drivers, Kenny Breck and Michael Andretti. They have a lot of confidence on these cars. And look at the difference in their lines. This is very typical of Michael Andretti down in turn 1 at Milwaukee. He drives right down the inside, diamonds the corner, whereas Kenny Breck, more of a traditional oval line, almost a road racing line, staying wide to the outside on the entry, apexing late. Now watch as they come down into this first corner, and watch how much ground Michael makes up just on the corner entry into turn 1.
Michael pulls it into turn 1. Indeed, he does close. In the meantime, Paul Tracy, the second yellow of the day. He's with Jon Beekhuis.
Yes, and it turns out, Paul, that it had something to do with the car. Was something broke? Yeah, D'Amata and I hit on the when Helio and Breck half spun. D'Amata and I touched, and I wasn't sure if I was getting a flat tire. I radioed in, and crew said the tire pressure was okay, but something was broken in the left rear, and as soon as I turned in, it was at speed. It was gone. So you think that these things that we've seen on the racetrack probably are not attributed to cold tires? One was contact between Helio. Helio came down on Breck, and there wasn't enough room. And my deal is that something was wrong with the suspension with the result from hitting with D'Amata on that first crash.
All right, you're okay?
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks, Gary.
Cristiano D'Amata is back out here. I know you were overcome with emotion earlier. Tell us what happened, what you saw, and how this unfolded at the start.
I think pretty much what probably was shown on TV. The two first cars, they tangled, and Fernandez spun to the inside, and I couldn't avoid him. Pretty much he came on my way, and after behind me, I couldn't see anything that happened.
Just no place to go, right? No place to go.
No, there wasn't any place to go. I was as further to the inside of the racetrack as I could have been. There was nowhere to go from there.
Thank you. Glad you're all right, Cristiano.
2 races in a row. Terrible luck for the first winner this year, Cristiano D'Amata. You will from time to time see in 4th place there a bright orange car. That is Jimmy Vasser. They added the orange to the livery on his car this year. There's Alex Zanardi. Brian Herta battling back at 10th place. I think many people expected greater performance earlier out of Zanardi. Seems like he's been struggling.
Yeah, but he's been coming on as of late. He was very quick in the first practice session on Friday. He was fit. I think he's getting comfortable with these cars again, with his relationship with the team. And I think that it was only because of being lined up by championship points, where he hasn't scored very many, caused him to fall back. But now we've seen he's moved up to 10th place and is pushing Nicholas Manassian very hard at this stage.
So as Zanardi tries to move on 9th place, Manassian just behind him. Oriol Servia is working pretty hard on Brian Herta. Herta's the blue and white car. Servia right behind him. I have no idea what color to say the Servia car is.
It's just the Servia color, that's all.
Kenny Breck still the leader. Michael Andretti second, DeFerrin third, Vasser fourth. And right behind Oriol Servia, blue car, that's Christian Fitipaldi. He's made his 100th start. It's really hard to believe. It just seems like yesterday that Christian joined the series. 2 victories for Christian, including Road America, Elkhart Lake just up the road from here, and of course at Fontana at the 500.
Up 1 on field to spot B.
I remember watching his first race in the streets of Miami and was surprised at how aggressive he was. Apparently no one told him that you couldn't pass offline on a street course, and he was moving up through the field until he had problems a little later on in the race. But he was very impressive in his debut and has been working very hard for those wins with the Newman Haas team. He struggled a little bit so far this year, just waiting for a turn of luck.
Here's the fight for 3rd place as Jimmy Vasser, former winner here, closes on Gil DeFerrin, now the only hope for the Penske team. And for our leader, Kenny Breck, who has now completed 33 laps, or 33 miles, of the 225 scheduled. This is the 4th race that Kenny Breck has led this year. He's followed by Michael Andretti and Gil DeFerrin. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC station. got a spotlight, we want to take a look at the man who knows his way around Milwaukee. It's Michael Andretti. Take it back to 1992 as Michael just carved his way through the field. He is so good at it on this flat mile. 5 times he's been the champion here. And then today, again coming up, just working his way around Gerould and sliding very neatly into second place behind Kenny Breck. And that's the way they stand right now. Breck is the leader, 41 laps complete. And coming up on what you mentioned right at the start, Parker, it's traffic time, which means you got to be careful.
You already see Kenny lost a little momentum coming off the corner. Michael Andretti is going to try to capitalize on this traffic blockage that Kenny has. You have to get the timing just right so that at this point on the corner, you're full throttle coming off, trying to draft up behind you. Hopefully the guy in front of you gets bottlenecked and you can slip by. Michael's so good on the outside as we've seen. He doesn't mind going up in the gray on that high line.
And we look down on first and second place from the Honda helicopter over the Milwaukee mile. While we were away, there were no changes in any position. They remain in the order. Breck, Andretti, Fernandez, and Tony Kanaan is the top 5. And some concern, at least some thinking, Gary Gerould, about Kenny Breck in that first corner.
There was definitely concern that maybe there was contact. I've gotten actually conflicting reports. One crew member said Kenny reported everything was okay. Also had another report saying that he actually got pinched down. They didn't believe that there was contact. I'm sure you guys probably had a much better look than we did down here in the pits in terms of the replays. But the major instruction to Breck at this point on the radio has been to be nice and smooth. Remember, you're controlling the pace.
Max Wilson apparently out of competition. Going back then to Kenny Breck, yeah, there was definitely some sort of contact spoke, if nothing else, tire to tire on Kenny Breck's right side.
And you have to be concerned. These cars are relatively fragile. We saw Paul Tracy had a problem with his contact with D'Amata. I saw Paul once he got out of the car, look at the back, so he suspected that something had broken. These cars can actually go many, many laps before the failure manifests itself. You roll into the corner, boom, you're backwards into the wall.
Jimmy Vasser tries a move on DeFerrin for third. Can't get it done. Michael Andretti still taking a hard look at Kenny Breck with traffic just ahead.
And look how different the line is of these drivers. The top 4 coming off of turn number 4. Kenny stays relatively close to the wall coming off. Michael uses every bit of it. DeFerrin leaves about 4 to 6 feet. Jimmy Vasser, the 4th car back, that bright orange car uses every inch. So looking for clean air to try to keep these winged cars working as efficiently as possible, but a very different line as they exit the corners.
Michael Andretti now tries to move to the inside on Kenny Breck, but Breck closes the door on him. Again, the widely different lines that you see in use here.
And I don't think that was so much a look as just Michael's line, but that's definitely a look there. Just trying to keep his mirrors full, but that's the line Michael drives. Keeps the car in clean air.
Fuel position 8. Let's go to fuel position 8.
Allows a little more straight line braking on the way in, so he doesn't have a lot more load on the outside of the car, so he can go in a little deeper, a little later on the brakes. Keeps the car a little bit more stable by straightening out that entry. Then, using up every inch of the road on the way out, extends the radius, allows him to put the throttle on sooner, using every bit of that corner, straightening it out as they come onto the straights.
Well, Kenny Breck is trying to find a hole so he can begin to work his way through traffic. But while he waits, everybody in the top 5 has begun to stack up behind him. Jon Beekhuis.
Yes, on Michael Andretti, who's certainly charging towards the front. We could not understand exactly what he said to the pits, but he's having some trouble with the balance of the car. They said, Michael, don't worry about it. We will fix it on the first stop. So considering how fast he's running, he's doing that with a car that he wants a bit of an adjustment with.
Well, Adrian Fernandez is the car sitting just ahead of the leader. And as yet, Kenny Breck hasn't found a good position. He's obviously very conscious of Michael behind him. Doesn't want to do anything that would give the place away to Michael. Look at that. Look how they're stacked up behind him. Now remember, Franchitti is out of sequence, made a stop early. And so when you see Franchitti there in the order, he's actually in 22nd place.
That's a great example of the aerodynamic inefficiencies of these cars when they cross the wake. You can see Kenny go down the inside of Adrian, and then he slipped back on the outside, but now he's got the pass done.
And so that quickly, the first of the 2 leaders is passed, and now Michael Andretti's got to find his way through. I don't think it'll take as long for Michael.
Now you see how Michael's car slid wide as he crossed the wake behind Adrian. The car loses all of its downforce, particularly at the front. The car will wash or understeer right up to the wall.
Michael Andretti gets past and resumes his battle. Jon Beekhuis.
Yes, another update on Michael is the radio communications where, Michael, you can use some more fuel if you want to, but we do not want to pit until the halfway point. Now, of course, we had a lot of caution at the beginning of the race, but anytime somebody says halfway point, it makes me think, are they trying to make this thing in one stop?
Halfway point, 113 laps. That certainly would be a one-stop race, but it would seem like a very long way. On the other hand, 20 miles of caution right at the start of the race would extend that original window out to about the 98th lap at least. So if they can carry on that much further, well, maybe it is possible. Michael again closes on Kenny Breck. Now DeFerrin tries to work his way around Adrian Fernandez. 56 laps are into the record book. In the Miller Lite 225, Kenny Breck has led all the way.
Come back to it. Just kind of bring us back where we are.
Yeah, I will. Now tomorrow night it's Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals on ABC. And the Devils repeat as champions. They're currently tied with the Avalanche at 2 each. Live coverage at Eastern 5 Pacific on ABC. Welcome back to the Miller Lite 225. I'm Paul Page with Parker Johnstone up top. Down in the pits, Gary Gerould and Jon Beekhuis. The only thing that has truly changed has been well back in the field. Alex Tagliani and Patrick Carpentier, teammates, have been battling, and Tagliani was able to get around Carpentier for 16th. We focus here on the front of the race right now. Kenny Breck leading Michael Andretti as they try to work their way through traffic.
And remember, at our last 1 mile oval at Nazareth, after qualifying, it was Lolas in the top 4 position, followed by a Penske. Michael Andretti following Kenny Braxton and Renard. We've got Gilles DeFerrin, he's in a Penske. Renard this weekend came out with a new undertray to try to gain some of the downforce that they were losing to the Lola chassis. They've been very successful this weekend. Renard's running much more strongly, and keep in mind, overall, all of these cars have lost 11% of downforce from last year because of the rules change. Also notice it's Ford, it's Honda, Jimmy Vasser, Toyota in 4th place. So it's a battle between the drivers, the chassis, and the engine manufacturers.
Michael Andretti just slowly reeling in Kenny Breck. This is back at Bruno Junqueira. He currently runs 6th. And Tony Kanaan is just ahead of him.
shifting and downshifting. But mentally, it's exhausting because there's absolutely no room for mistake. You're trying to scrub as little speed as possible, being very gentle with the wheel, very gentle with the brake, very gentle with the throttle. But even though he's very relaxed, keep in mind at this portion of the corner, they're turning 3.5 Gs.
Here's Brian Herta. Last several laps, they've been saying that this 11th place car sounds very funny.
Well, the bottom line is it is getting worse. We can hear it.
Oh, yeah. He just went by a position. It sounds like he's... Sounds like he's coming in this lap. You can hear it sounds like he's got a broken header or some other engine problem.
Keep an eye on Brian Herta. If he goes to the pits this time.
Nope. Sounds like a stock block in park position.
So if it is, what becomes the sense in staying out as we watch Alex Zanardi, Nicholas Manassian again just ahead of him. This is a fight for 9th place. What would be the sense of trying to keep that car out?
Well, if he can still run his last lap, I was just looking here, is 149 miles an hour. It's the same speed as the leaders. Kenny Breck that last lap turned 149 mile an hour lap. So if it is an exhaust problem and it's not superheating the bodywork, causing a potential for a fire hazard or some other problem, as long as he's going fast, why not leave him out?
Yeah, and I think, Parker, the key is he knows that once he comes on pit road, he's probably not leaving. So he's a racer. He wanted to stay out.
And here come the leaders. 73rd lap complete now for Kenny Breck. And Brian Herta does come into the pits. Jon Beekhuis, you're right there.
Yes, of course, they shut off the engine, and the first thing you do is to look to see if, in fact, you do have a broken header, and if by chance that isn't the case, then you can change the spark box or something and maybe get him back out.
And while they work on Brian Herta, Michael Andretti tries to poke his nose past Breck. And it looks like he's going to try it again here in about a lap. Every time you try that, though, you just lose so much momentum.
And with this traffic that these two drivers have encountered, the race pace has gone from the fastest lap so far being turned by DeFerrin at 157.2, followed by Breck at 157.1. They're now racing in the 148, 149 mile an hour range. So Michael Andretti being aggressive, but he also has to be patient and wait for the right time. No one knows that better than how to play that game than Michael Andretti.
So as they thread their way through traffic, these two are really running all alone. DeFerrin sits back almost 2.5 seconds from the leader. Somebody bobbles, of course, he's right there, but on a mile, 2.5 seconds can be an enormous distance. There's DeFerrin. It really amounts to about 3/4 of a straightaway here. 78 laps, 78 miles. Now complete. You look alongside from Mauricio Guzman's car. Ford, Honda. Toyota sits in 4th with Jimmy Vasser. There they are, the top 4 here at Milwaukee. Gary and Jon, you got any numbers on when the first stop's going to hit?
We've got DeFerrin around 90, Vasser at 92. No word on Breck yet.
So we got 10 laps.
Yep, be right on top of it.
Oh, what's going on there? See ya. Did he choose wrong? Is that what that was?
It's a bend.
He got behind Jourdain on the wrong
The
side.
leader guy.
I happen to see it.
It was interesting.
It's as though Kenny chose low, Michelle went low, Michael went high and got boxed in, and that was it. He was done.
+2 to Jill, +2 to DeFerrin.
Whoa, who got wide there?
Alpha this time. 39 Alpha, ready? On 3.
Hey, guys.
Yep.
For Herta, it was an exhaust. We had to leave because we want to get set up for pit stops.
Yep.
He's out of the car, and it was what we thought, just so you can put the final...
Exhaust manifold.
Oh, just...
The final nail in the cowling.
There you go.
Okay.
Can you find out what's going on with the handling of Kenny's car? He doesn't look so happy anymore.
Understeer.
You gotta think about that touch. All right.
Who was that?
Dixon.
You okay, Scott? Yeah, core in me hole.
Now back at the Miller Lite 225, and yep, that's Michael out in front, leading for the first time this year. Kind of an unusual set of circumstances put Michael into the lead. We'll take a look at it for you.
Coming down into turn 3, you can see Kenny got high. That's all there was to it. Trying to hang on to the car. He's got a massive handling problem here. Michael takes advantage of the opportunity, stays on the throttle. Takes the Michael line down into turn 1.
Different angle, view of the same situation.
Forces a pass on Jourdain coming in, gets a little too hot, washes up wide. Michael tucks back down the inside, is able to pick up the throttle a little sooner, carries that speed down the straightaway, completes the pass.
And it wasn't much longer until Michael was also able to try and move on Michel Jourdain, but it didn't work for him. So it's Kenny Breck still sitting right on his tail now with 86 laps complete. And Parker, I'd expect we'll see pit stops starting pretty quickly.
Well, if I've done the math right, that's what we'll see. The driver that we want to watch here.
Just a few laps away.
There you have it, just a few laps away. Kenny Breck's getting great mileage, always has all year long. And back in 4th place, Jimmy Vasser driving for Pat Patrick. These guys have reliability, they've got great mileage, great pit stops. Keep in mind that Pat Patrick team has got the best finishing record for their 2 drivers of any team in the series right now.
Here is the first major stop of the day. It's Kenny Breck on the pit road. We expect the leader Michael Andretti shortly thereafter. But right now it is Kenny Breck that heads down for service, and Gary Gerould.
Hits the marks perfectly. Rico Knoll has the helmet cam on the right front. Everything appears to be routine. Tires are on. Wing change up front. 2 quick turns. Fueling almost complete. Revs up. He's gone just under 12.5 seconds on my clock.
Fuel position 10.
And the assumption is, Gary Gerould, that they got a real good look at that car while they were making that stop to determine whether or not there is any damage on the right side from the contact with Castroneves.
One of the reasons Kenny may have come in is not because he needed to come in on that lap for fuel, but he may have been having problems with the handling of the car. The traffic situation was such that it was time to come in a little early and try to take advantage of making those changes before everyone else.
Here is Kenny's teammate, Max Pappas, who was able to get around Scott Dixon for 7 just before the stop. Then Dixon came right back around him. Jill DeFerrin is in, the Penske team. Gary?
Roger Penske on the wall holding his driver. Another wing change up front to DeFerrin. He's about ready to relieve Jan.
Michael Andretti is pitted at the other end of pit road. He has asked for 1 turn of front wing, and in fact, he gets a little more. He gets a turn and a half of front wing, so that'll take some push away from the car. Michael Andretti, a little over 12 seconds, goes out on sticker tires.
Also coming in, Zanardi and Christian Fitipaldi. Jimmy Vasser takes over the lead of the race. There he is.
Well, as I said, Pat Patrick, as always, great reliability, great mileage and strategy.
Here is Zanardi completing his stop, and he kills the engine. And Zanardi gets away. And here comes the leader, Jimmy Vasser, now on the pit road. Teamed, of course, with Roberto Moreno at Patrick Racing. Gary?
Out of breath, Paul, but we're here and we're watching the service from the Patrick team. Make sure everything is routine for this new color scheme. And Jimmy Vasser, well, this looks real good. He's rolling at just around 11 seconds. Nice stop.
it came down to a fuel mileage battle at Motegi. Tony Kanaan has been quick all year long. Remember, he's won only one race at Michigan. It's got to be time for another one very, very soon.
And you see in second place is Scott Dixon. Look at this. DeFerrin comes up to challenge alongside of Jimmy Vasser. Then DeFerrin goes high and Vasser pulls away.
Well, I think what happened there is Gilles was going around the outside of Jimmy. Jimmy got in a little hot, slid up high. DeFerrin got way up out of the groove in the grate, had to back way off the throttle. That was very, very close.
Alex Zanardi had a quick in and out of the pits, answering the black flag for a pit speed violation.
So Scott Dixon cuts across the bow of Jimmy Vasser. His car washes up high. DeFerrin up on the outside gets way out of the groove trying to avoid contact with Jimmy. And at this point, you're just off the throttle, hoping the car doesn't slide any farther. He finally gets back on the throttle going, oh, that was way too close.
And in the scheme of things, what Vasser and DeFerrin are trying to do is to get back on the lead lap, because with their stop, they've gone a lap down. It's Kanaan, Dixon, Tagliani, and Carpentier, but of course those are cars that have not yet stopped in the case of Kanaan and Dixon.
These two drivers, Tony with the Honda, Scott with the Toyota, both getting extremely good mileage at this point, and that's always the fight of trying to balance mileage with driving as hard as you possibly can, going as fast as possible.
We mentioned Tagliani and Carpentier. They have both stopped. In fact, Carpentier has stopped 3 different times to top fuel off with that long yellow. So one would expect that pretty quickly here, they'll take over the lead of the race. Oriol Servia, they stopped, by the way, on lap 18. There's Oriol Servia. He's been given the black flag. He ran over one of the air hoses during his stop, so he'll have to answer that flag and serve the penalty. There's the black flag for Oriol Servia.
Talked about the players team. This team has right now the most desperate finishing record between the two drivers in 8 starts. They've only had 1 finish, and that was out of the points. They've got Bruce Ashford, Tony Staley. The amount of talent there and the effort, great drivers. They've just had such horrible luck this season. So through inventive pit strategy, pitting again and again and again since they were at the back, they're trying to get this to turn around and come their way.
Well, and they had a double hit here because of their prior performance and no points. They had to start all the way in the back of the field because this field was lined up according to points, with the qualifying being rained out.
And you've got to remember, Patrick Carpentier's got the track record here that he set back in 1998 when he had the pole that year.
They're laid out for Tony Kanaan. He's on the pit road already. He'll give the lead over to Scott Dixon on the 101st lap.
Paul, if my memory is right, I think that puts them about a 10-lap advantage on the rest of the field in terms of fuel conservation as Kanaan hits the spot. Horace Nutt's team has really stepped up in the last couple of races. Tony hoping for the big finish today, getting excellent fuel mileage. However, taking just under 13 seconds on the stop.
So Tony Kanaan is away. Scott Dixon is now the leader of the race. There he is. That's Vasser behind him, but Vasser wants to get around him, not to take the lead, but to simply get back on the lead lap. And Scott Dixon makes his turn into the pit. It will give the lead over to Alex Tagliani. Jan?
Yes, but pitting out of the lead, remember that Scott Dixon, the first race that he won, becoming CART's youngest winner, was because of pit strategy. So you never know. Pitting this late and getting great fuel economy could certainly be a bonus. You can see they've made no changes on the car. Just waiting for the fuel. Come on, fuel. Boy, that took a while. That was a long stop, 14.8. Not sure why the fuel took so long to get in.
Scott Dixon went 103 laps before he had to refuel. But of course, 20 of those laps were benefit of the caution flag, so he was able to carry it further. Here is Tagliani now making his stop. Tagliani stops out of second. Carpentier, his teammate, is the leader. Tagliani carried the car 89 laps before this stop. Brand new fresh rubber on the right side. Tagliani is away.
Because of the limited practice time this weekend, a lot of these teams weren't able to scrub all their sets of tires as his teammate Carpentier comes in.
So here is Carpentier off the lead of the race. And he will give the lead over to Michel Jourdain Jr.
watch Dave. Way you go. Okay, now watch your speed on the way out, Pat. Watch your speed. You did reset your fuel, 10-4.
So as they cycle through, Jourdain gives up the lead. He was able to carry the car 88 laps before he had to come in for fuel. We mentioned this kid quite a bit last year, and it just seems that he gets better and better with every opportunity. And now the leader of the race becomes Adrian Fernandez, who is 89 laps from his last pit stop. To win any time now, and look behind him. Yep, Andretti, Breck, Vassar, and the favorite.
Adrian Fernandez, the only team owner driver in the series currently. But remember, this order will shuffle as soon as Adrian pits.
Wow. Look at that. Zanardi was way up in the gray stuff. High enough that they decided to bring out the yellow flag. So Zanardi brings out a yellow flag that's going to work very well for Adrian Fernandez. And Adrian became the 9th different leader of the day. Here is Zanardi.
He's just a little too far out of the groove. He carries a lot of speed in there and does that big pucker factor. Gets it tucked back down.
And so Zanardi is able to keep it off the wall, and he's going to keep it back into the line. Adrian Fernandez remains the leader of the race, but he should be into the pits just any time now. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC station.
Now, who's going to let Adrian in?
Not me. No, not me, you know.
You know, when I first got into the series, okay, you get to the blend line, and then what? And then if someone lets you in, you can get in. I raised my hand and said, well, what if they don't? Everybody laughed. Well, then you don't get in.
Learn.
Well, then why would they let you in? Exactly. They don't. Oh, Adrian. You don't have to worry about blending. You just blend at the back, shall we?
12 seconds on Fernandez, 2 turns, front wing, both sides.
Everybody's putting it in, right? G-Man, everyone's putting wing in, right? Everyone's got big push.
I'm the wrong guy to ask that question.
Yeah, at least on my end, that's what they've been doing. Yeah.
That's what it's looked like. Everyone looks like they're giving it the big clockwise turn. So
You racing car guys, you just say the neatest stuff.
Mauricio's in.
Gary and I just sit there and listen.
Topping up. Shinji as well.
Now, question here, will Zanardi, he's staying out, will he be able to get back on the lead lap?
Dario got topped.
Doesn't look like it.
Hey, these guys are topping as though they're trying to make it to the end of the race, guys. Dario just came in for a top-up.
You're going to play that. I'm going to do a little something here. In 2 weeks, it's back to the road courses as ABC Sports brings you the next race in the CART FedEx Championship Series. The Grand Prix of Detroit, Sunday, June 17th on ABC. Well, we are still under the yellow, and during that yellow, the leader, Fernandez, came in, and there's Andretti with Kenny Breck behind him. 113 laps complete, so just past the halfway. And we expect the green flag to come out as they come around. Pace car is already off. And there's the green flag with Jimmy Vassar back in the field, trying to make a move. He's actually third in the race, but he is well back in the order as they came back to green flag.
And during that yellow, we had some other drivers pit as well. Franchitti, Mauricio Gugelmin, Shinji Nakano came in. Because it was at the 112 lap point. I think some of these drivers are thinking with enough yellow, that will be their last stop. bringing them a lap back up, putting them in contention for the win.
While we're at it, let's just talk about that yellow, because we saw the same thing at Nazareth. Car spins, doesn't hit anything, in fact gets back on the course and continues on with no obvious spray of dirt or anything on the course, and you go yellow.
Well, in this case, Zanardi gets high offline, has an up-close and personal look at the wall, never contacts it. Someone's got a twitchy finger on the button. Jon said during the break, maybe we should put a softer spring in that button. Make it a little harder to get on.
Alex Zanardi, there you get a good look at him, who was the cause of that yellow. Gary Gerould?
May have been a communication mix-up for Alex Zanardi between he and Mo Nunn, because Mo wanted to bring Zanardi in for a routine service on a pit stop with 1 lap to go before green. He was trying to get back on the lead lap. Alex did not come in, and consequently, we're back green now. He's going to have to stop before too long, and he's going to lose a lot more ground.
And that's too bad, because we were talking about whether Zanardi's back or not. Well, to keep you updated with the quickest laps, Zanardi, before that last yellow, turned the fastest race lap at over 157 miles an hour, followed by his teammate Kanan, and then Christian Fitipaldi, the 3 quickest drivers on the track.
Yeah, but that's not really to say that Zanardi is going to be out of fuel and need to come in soon. He's really only 25 laps from his last stop. But what Morris is looking for is to get in the strategy that you mentioned, Parker, that other people are playing. We're looking for Joe DeFerrin now. And there he is as he comes through. And right behind him is Bruno Junqueira, who's beginning to worry him.
Plus 0.2.
Roger Penske talks to his defending series champion. You ride with 5th place, Bruno Junqueira. A lot of serious adjusting there on the steering wheel.
I don't know the exact layout on the Chip Ganassi wheels. Could be a fuel mixture adjustment on the rotary knob at the bottom. Every driver has a preference. Every team has a preference. There's enough there to make the car completely undrivable if you work at it hard enough, or take the driver's attention away and cause him to have a major problem at an inopportune time. But look how relaxed Bruno is. I'm very impressed with this rookie driver.
Everybody here, save Fernandez team, uses the Pi dashboard steering wheel system, but it can be laid out any way you want. Like most electronics and software today, you say, okay, I want the tachometer to be here, and I want the oil temperature to be here, and you just do it whatever way you want.
Well, of course, the entire car is custom fit for the driver. The pedal positions, the seats, the headrest, even the steering wheel grips are custom molded to the driver's hands.
Michael Andretti and then Kenny Breck separated by just about half a second. You saw Jimmy Vasser trying to get up there and catch up to the leaders. Vasser, the bright orange car, is 3rd place. He needs to get around Tora Takagi, who is a lap down in 12th place as you look down from the Honda Helicam on the Milwaukee Mile. Much neat when you look at the program or the history of the Milwaukee Mile, all of the great names that have raced here, all the way back through the early 1900s, when primarily these kind of series were run, for the most part, on county and state fairgrounds. Michael Andretti, still the leader, 124th lap, 33 laps from his last stop, Jon Beekhuis.
Yeah, and speaking of that stop, remember, Paul, they added front wing to the car. Michael has called back on the radio and said, now the car balance is good, but I have trouble when I run up behind another car. So, obviously, the car is pretty well dialed on its own. The best place to be is in the lead, because until he catches traffic, that car is going to be exactly how he wants it. But he says the front washes out badly when he catches up to other people.
What it feels like, it's like crossing behind a tractor-trailer rig on the highway. These cars produce very turbulent, dirty air, and when you get into their wash, you lose all the downforce, as Jon said, particularly at the front of the car, and the car will go up high into the corners. It produces a lot of understeer. The driver has to stay off the throttle, which means you come off the corner very slowly.
We're going to go back and take a look at the battle for 7th place. Max Pappas is currently 7th. But Scott Dixon and Christian Fitipaldi are trying to catch him. Look at Christian Fitipaldi close down on Dixon. Under braking in the corner, of course. So It appears to be a little more dramatic than it truly is, but these three are running right together and all trying to take over 7th. Let's talk about that, the fact that you run into turbulence up behind the car. The leadership committee of CART has been working, well, it's an ongoing project to try to figure out how to deal with that so these cars are more capable of getting alongside of one another. They're flying alone, and then especially here on the short mile, 1 mile track, the short track, get right in. Oh, look at this, Kenny Breck. Kenny Breck moves on Andretti and grabs the lead. So Breck back to the front.
Nice job, you're our hero.
Scott Rippey on the radio with Kenny Breck.
Keep in mind, Kenny Breck led 7 different events last year. He's been so close so many times. He's so aggressive. He's got such great car control. Now watch, they come off onto the back straightaway, picks up a good draft. Mike makes a little move. Kenny just outbrakes him, going down to the inside of turn 3.
Yeah, well, and this, in fact, Parker, leads again to the question I was about to ask you. You assume that when he gets right in behind there, it's pretty turbulent, and they're trying to do something about it, but they never seem to be successful.
It's a very difficult task trying to slow these cars down. They've taken power, reduced the boost off the engines. The manufacturer got it right back. They've taken downforce off. They've also created a lot of drag, which also creates a lot of turbulence. It's a difficult tightrope to walk.
So the lead changes again, and the Miller Lite 225 on the Milwaukee mile. Kenny Breck has pushed his Ford up to the front of the field, followed by Michael and a Honda, Vassar and a Toyota.
No, okay. Producer says no. Doggone it, I wanted to use that.
You may not.
So never, obviously.
Obviously.
Doggone it.
And you know what? Your own brain could have told you that.
No.
Yeah,
not
good.
really.
What color do you think that car will be at Detroit?
Oh.
Oh, he's gonna
give
some Torah
sign language here.
No, don't talk to him, Jimmy.
No, you're between me and the car.
I got a little something to say.
I got a little...
Just want to mention something.
I'd like to
That's
spend $5,000. Do you mind if I spend $5,000?
Don't you guys hold on to me. I got something to tell him. And what I'm going to tell him is...
Look how high Torah was. Yeah. Wow. Takagi was down in...
he was over his head in
13th place at the time. 12th place.
Jimmy probably would be my guest, Gary and Jon. Not going to be happy. Yeah, look at that.
You're number 1, pal.
You're my guy.
Oh, we're going to have that again, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
No, he gave him a thumbs up.
He was legal.
I think it was a sarcastic thumbs up. I mean, Jimmy just doesn't do that.
They don't make those mistakes.
Jeff, should we stay with Breck, or you want me to go for Jimmy? Because he's walking toward turn 1, toward the front. Okay.
He just doesn't do it. Yeah, here it comes. Man.
Count them faster. Back in Milwaukee, our luck. Things happen. Michael Andretti, Kenny Breck have both just hit the pit. The reason they can go for the pit is that we are under a caution, and the reason we're under a caution is our third-place runner hit the wall. Jimmy Vassar hit the wall. Here is Manassian with a problem with the car.
Well, they backed him up and now him repointed in the other direction. I didn't see what initiated the difficulty at first, but he is now away.
Parker, looks like he just got in a little fast, slid into the box, and got pinned up against the wall.
All right, so a lot, if not all of the cars have stopped under the caution, and here is why. Watch the orange car.
I hate when that happens. Jimmy Vasser running third, comes up behind Tori Takagi in 12th place, a lap down. He's trying to get back up to the leaders. He gets a run on him, sticks his nose down the inside. I tell you, Jimmy Vasser is one of the most reliable guys on the track. He never gets into accidents. He never makes any mistakes during practice or qualifying. Jimmy Vasser having a little communication here, bridging the gap between America.
Yeah, you're right, Jim.
And Japan.
You're right. Gary Gerould.
Jimmy Vasser is here, and I'm sure the smoke is coming out of you. That's got to be so tough. Did you just get squeezed?
Well, I mean, from where I was sitting, yeah, I was working on the guy who was a lap down for maybe even two. I was working on him. I was alongside him. I thought he just drove me straight down into the inside wall here, and it was just me and the wall and himself. I can't imagine he didn't see me, but, you know, I mean, that's racing, I guess. He's a rookie, and, you know, I hope to think he didn't do it on purpose. I mean, but we had a good car today, and it's a shame for the Patrick team. I wish I had some sponsors to talk about, but we had a good race car today.
Tell you what, he deserves them. He's a diplomat, too.
Yeah, more gracious than he need be. Now, Chris Knightfall, the chief steward, has decided, and I have never heard of this penalty at this length, a 2-minute penalty for this car, the 5 car, Tori Takagi, apparently attached right to that incident. This was Jimmy Vasser when Takagi came by. Yeah, nice job. What's the matter with you?
Well, and I'm sure Tori had to see that paint job. Absolutely.
So the Miller Lite 225 is now 138 laps old. We'll be back. Too bad it had to happen in the yellow. How are we doing here?
This Wide World of Sports update brought to you by Speed Pass. Today's way to pay. It's free from mobile.
And our mobile report comes on the Dayton Indy Lights Championship and their series points right now. This is the series that helps feed into the CART FedEx Championship Series. Townsend Bell now the points leader over Derek Higgins. Back at the Milwaukee Mile, we're ready to go green. Green flag comes out. Michael Andretti leads them into turn 1, followed by Breck, Dixon, and Fitipaldi. And now they have upped the penalty on Tori Takagi to say it's going to last until the end of this race. In other words, he's out.
And look at the interval Michael pulled out on that first lap.
Look at Dixon here, though. Young New Zealander is right there and fighting hard. Right fresh off of that first win at Nazareth.
And remember, pit strategy played a big role at Nazareth, but Dixon was able to hold off Kenny Breck for a number of laps, so he just didn't fall into it. And look what happened after this round of pit stops.
Yeah, big winners in the last round of stops as you look at the pit summary. Really, though, it was Dixon who came in 7th and out in 3rd. Christian in 8th and out in 4th. Nice job by the Newman Haas team on Christian. Now let's go to Jon Beekhuis.
Of course, the best beneficiary of that was Michael Andretti, who went to the lead. Paulie made an 8.6-second stop. Phenomenal stop down here on pit road to get past Kenny Breck. He did get all the fuel, but they had been on the radio to him saying, Michael, you have to get the exact same fuel economy that you were so we can get all the way to the end. They did not make any changes on the car. Remember, he likes the car in clean air, doesn't like it in dirty air.
All right, Gary Gerould, let's in fact talk about that, because I know you're looking at the numbers. Can they indeed, the top 10, all stopped at the same time, make it to the finish?
It'll, of course, vary team to team, but when they all pitted on lap 138, that meant they have to go 87. They got another 4 laps of yellow. Kenny Breck, for instance, chasing Michael Andretti, was told to really conserve under yellow as best he could. Scott Refke told him he had to make 2.6 to 2.65 miles per gallon, and he says, you've been doing that nicely all day long. If he can do that, he can make it the rest of the way to the checkered flag.
And with that caution and those stops, Dario Franchitti and Team Green been able to put Dario back on the lead lap. He is now running in 12th place.
And significantly, Dario Franchitti has the fastest lap of the race at 158.458 miles an hour. So Dario is on a tear, being back on the lead lap, and being at Milwaukee, anything can happen.
Jon Beekhuis.
Well, they told Dario on the radio just before that caution, leave nothing out there. Go for it. Just do everything you can. We want to leave nothing on the racetrack. He's come in and made an earlier splash, and of course, that strategy now is starting to pay off.
Right now, it's Manassian, Franchitti, and Carpentier running close together. Manassian is 10th, Franchitti grabs it.
Dario told me this morning they were going to start the car with a lot of understeer because the worst thing that a driver can have happen is for the car to go loose on these 1 mile ovals. And he said after they did a stop, they would then try to come back, be a little less conservative. And I think that's playing exactly into their hands. Dario looking very relaxed this morning, very confident on this 1 mile oval.
Well, Franchitti is the man on the move. He came back to green in 12th. And Franchitti is now 10th. Back at the front, Andretti and Kenny Breck. Scott Dixon, the young rookie, is 3rd. 152 laps complete. He looks downtown in Milwaukee. Very active city this weekend. A lot going on to highlight this race. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Welcome back to Milwaukee. Chip Ganassi, his car currently in 5th. The newlywed, Pat Patrick. His car driven by Jimmy Vassar and Roberto Moreno. And this man, Barry Green, his Motorola car with Michael Andretti at the helm. He is the leader of the run. Nothing has changed since we left you. It's Andretti, Breck, Dixon, Fitipaldi. Those are the top 4. Now, we mentioned Tori Takagi has been set down, and Parker and I and everybody in the booth have been trying to think, has there ever been a time in CART when the chief steward said, that's it, black flag, and it means you're done, you're out of the race? Rob Edwards is taking control of the team down in the pits. Jan, what's going on here?
Well, he and I just had a brief discussion. As far as you and I know, this is unprecedented that you'd sit a guy down for that type of infraction. What's your take from a team ownership, team management standpoint?
Well, you know, we're disappointed, obviously. You know, CART's job is to run the races, and we have to respect that. But, I mean, we felt that Tora tried to give Jimmy some room to go by on the inside, and that Jimmy hadn't got cleanly through. And, you know, so in Tora's view, you know, he still had the corner at that point. But at the end of the day, you know, it's CART's job to run the race, and we have to respect what they say. But we're certainly very disappointed.
All right, thank you, Rob.
Okay.
Well, Chris Knightfall, former competitor in the series, and now the chief steward for every event this year, has given the indication that he's not going to put up with anything, and now he's followed it up with some action.
Well, the topic of blocking always comes up in the drivers' meetings, and for years, the drivers have heard if you block, you're going to get black flag, and yet it never really happened. Today is the first time I remember actually something taking place as a result of blocking. Now, you may not say that's blocking. You got to remember, Takagi was down in 12th place. He was a lap down. Jimmy, we talked about patience, finally ran out of patience, had a pretty good run, and here you can be significantly faster than someone, but the person in front of you only has to hold you up for a brief second to take away that advantage. Jimmy tried to get through, didn't work.
All right, put yourself back in the driver's seat.
Oh,
you want to see
I'd rather be in the booth.
You want to see a chief steward control like that?
Absolutely. I want a man that's given charge, takes charge, and uses that authority to try to keep the inmates in line, and that's exactly what Chris Knightfall is doing.
Back in 14th place is Mauricio Guzman. There he is. His gearbox went during the morning warm-up. They were able to get the gearbox changed, got him back into action, ready for the start of this race. Mauricio Guzman in the fight, and our new onboard camera that actually can turn and look a couple of different directions. Right now, he rides...
Head full, save fuel, save fuel.
That camera rides those onboard cameras. Working lap 167. 167 for Michael Andretti, with a report now that fourth place, Christian Fitipaldi may have a problem.
Well, it's not really a problem, but it is a concern. They've told Christian, Paul, that he has got to really work harder at saving fuel. In fact, they've told him he needs to shift early and to continue to work hard. Apparently, they're scared that they may not have enough to make it all the way to the checkered. Remember, it's 225 laps. We're working 168 right now.
Well, that would represent the first, at least partially admitted chink in the armor of the front runners. Fitipaldi currently is in fourth place, and it's been 32 laps since he stopped. As a matter of fact, since the entire top 10 have stopped. The theory, at least, was that everybody would make it to the finish. Jon, what about Michael?
Well, for Michael Andretti, Paul, we talk a lot about spotters and being on the radio, but the radio communications for Michael Andretti right now are all coaching, but not about driving. They're all coaching about fuel economy. It's a very interesting discussion. Each time Michael comes around and says, how was that one? Oh, that one was great. They go, oh, no, the last four, a little too much fuel. The whole time, he's experimenting with his driving style so that he can do laps at the proper fuel economy, at the same time figuring out how to stay in the lead. But the last couple laps he did, the radio communication was, keep doing exactly what you're doing.
And there are a couple of different things that drivers can do to save fuel. One is to feather off the throttle early into the braking area. Try to be a little bit more gentle with the throttle coming off the corner. To short shift so you're not using as many RPMs. Some drivers are just better at it than others while maintaining maximum speed. Montoya told me last year at Chicago, he got into such a groove, such a rhythm, he wasn't even using the brakes on an oval similar to this and was getting 2.75 miles per gallon. He said once you get into the groove, you can actually go faster that way than if you're trying to push very hard. And as I said, some of these drivers
It's gonna be close. You gotta really work that fuel.
are better than others, and when you're leading the race, he's kept the interval between 0.9 to 1.1 seconds over Kenny Breck. Michael's got to try to figure out how to get the best mileage and maintain this gap over second place Kenny Breck.
And you heard there, too, on the radio exactly what Jon Beekhuis was talking about. Critique almost every lap. For Michael Andretti, Kenny Breck crosses the line just behind him. 173 laps are now the distance at Milwaukee in the Miller Lite, 2:25. Andretti, Brett Dixon, 1, 2, 3. Our second Toyota Spotlight looks at first-time winners. Half of the winners this year had his first time. Scott Dixon won his first CART race at Nazareth. On the podium with him then was Kenny Breck, who scored his first CART win at Motegi, Japan. Currently here, Breck runs in second. Scott Dixon runs in third. They run, there they are. They run behind the leader, Michael Andretti. Dario Franchitti, the only one to make a move while we were away, and that was a move from 10th to 9th. But Franchitti is now 69 laps out from his last stop. He will have to stop again. But Dario Franchitti has been hauling pretty good ever since he got back on the lead lap. He's now lined up behind 8th place Max Pastor. And Parker, you've been listening to Christian Fitipaldi.
It's a group that contains Guzman, Fitipaldi, and Bruno Junqueira. And as they pass our position, we're getting an interesting engine noise.
10 laps away from a stop. 10 laps away.
That's the word out.
And we were just trying to fit. We were just trying to figure out if they had a problem.
Kenny Breck just got Andretti. Kenny Breck just got around the leader. Kenny Breck is back in front. So at the 183rd lap, it's Kenny Breck back in front. And look at Scott Dixon come in behind Andretti. Oh!
Kenny got a better run coming off the last corner. Michael tried to take him down to the inside. Kenny had just too much momentum. Outbroke him going down into the first corner. Kenny had whittled that lead down to just over a half a second from the 1.1 that Michael had just before we went to break. working this fuel mileage game, as Michael knows.
Right there makes it happen.
That if he doesn't make the fuel mileage number, it doesn't make any difference whether he's leading or not, because he'll have to come into the pits unless they get a late yellow. And now Scott Dixon looking very racy. He's fallen back on the last couple of laps now. He was right up behind Andretti after that pass.
Let's go to Jon Beekhuis.
Well, an update for Michael is that, believe it or not, this might help him somewhat. Michael Andretti has been struggling somewhat reaching that fuel number that we were talking about with that coaching. And so maybe now, if he can get right up behind Kenny Breck, which it appears as though he's struggling to do so, that might save him some fuel.
And we had a good conversation with Scott Dixon Thursday night at dinner, and he was saying that Kenny Breck comes hauling down into the corner faster than anybody else. He was really surprised at Nazareth at how fast Kenny Breck was able to close on him in the corner, but that he wasn't able to convert that to speed off the corner.
Well, much to Scott's credit, what he figured out is that Kenny wasn't very fast coming off that particular corner. Wow, he's really dropped back.
Okay, use your wisecracker in your Bob.
Michael Andretti reporting trouble now. Look at how the speed has fallen off from his fastest lap. The leader right now, Kenny Breck, running 149. We'll try and find out what's going on with Michael Andretti.
The handling can change very quickly here in just a matter of a lap or two. You can hear them say, change the bars, change the weight jacker, which I'm sure Michael's done.
Yeah, Parker, I think what it is, he says the front wings are screwing up again. I wonder if the front wings he thinks are moving, are changing adjustment.
Well, and especially the reference to, again, there's Dario Franchitti making his stop as predicted. Don't remember an occasion in which Michael had at least a publicly acknowledged problem with the front wings. Mario Andretti watches his son. It's Ford, Honda, Toyota, the top three at Milwaukee.
The answer from Kim about that front wing thing.
Oh, good. Where's my on card?
Boy, it looks like Breck was being held up.
Oh, no, it was tight. It was tight.
Nazareth, which helps Scott. Here he's obviously coming off the corners very well. But
Yeah.
they get the finish.
Pound him, Michael.
Oh, that was
Damn. Nothing changed.
except my deodorant breakdown.
The shorts.
Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals on ABC. The Devils and the Avalanche. They're tied right now at 2 each. And ABC's John Davidson gives his insight on the Stanley Cup Finals online at ESPN.com. Keyword ABC Sports. Well, welcome back to the Miller Lite 225. Paul Page with Parker Johnstone. Kenny Breck is the leader. Michael Andretti tried him once. It was a nice try, but it didn't work. Scott Dixon, the young rookie, sits back in third place right now. A couple laps ago, we do want you to see it, though, because it was fun to watch as Michael and Kenny went at it.
Michael gets a good run coming off the fourth corner, has a look down the inside and says, whoo, squeeze you later there.
So it is still Kenny Breck in front. Fuel, certainly a question, is whether or not they're going to have to stop again and top off before the end of the race. The best guess is that they will not. At 198 laps, Kenny had the lead. Nice average of the race. 4 cautions mostly came early, with the exception of Scott Pruitt getting into the wall. And some pretty key names, especially in the championship fight, out of the run. Names like Tracy DeMata, Castroneves, and out right at the front. And a little historical item, catching one of the players' cars slowing and heading for the pit lane. That's the story of Tora Takagi, who was black flagged and taken out of the race. It was Carpentier that headed into the pits. And while we're down visiting the pits, Jon Beekhuis, you've checked on what Michael Andretti is saying about his front wings.
Yes, in fact, he did call in and say, I'm having trouble with the front wings again. I spoke with Kim Green, and he said, what's happening is we get a sudden understeer. So it feels like something's happening with the front wings, but we feel it's because Michael got high on the racetrack, picked up something on the tires, and then it takes a few laps for the car to settle back down again. And talking about the radio, on that move where he went to the inside on Kenny Breck, right after that happened, he called back in and said, you need to black flag this guy. He just about put me in the wall. He probably already knows about that penalty for Tora Takagi.
Yeah, they're probably going to be discussing that a lot now.
Well, the difference being that was for the lead of the race. You weren't dealing with a car that was a lap down.
So it's Breck, Andretti, Dixon, top 3, and it's still very much anybody's race as they will run right to the end of their fuel load. The Harley-Davidson factory just down the road from here, where the legend is built. Breck, Andretti, Dixon, Ford, Honda, Toyota at Milwaukee. Let's start telling them right now to hustle their butt. We already kind of did it. Oh, no, we didn't. We did Milwaukee after Indy.
Yeah, this is different. Yeah, we're talking Motegi here.
Hey, I am talking with Russ. You talk with people on your side of the room. I talk with my people.
God knows what to talk about.
You got Judy. Judy will talk to you.
Yeah, about 65 Chevy Impalas, maybe.
20 laps, 20 to go.
She'll teach you a little Milwaukee.
Breck is behind right now.
Crash.
Well, that takes the...
Stay low, turn 4.
I'm going to walk over and say something to you in Portuguese. And here it is.
When you wake up, look this way.
Now, did you understand that? Let me come back and tell you again. This time in another language.
Are you awake now?
You get out of the car. Ooh, the 2 fingers up. Here, let me explain it to you.
No, get away from there. No. Come
Hi.
on. That's it.
We're the simple green
He
men.
had been on the radio complaining about not being able to get by a slower car. I assume that the number 12 was who he was complaining about.
That would be my guess now.
And that was that group that we had watched earlier. And guess what? Everyone goes to the end now. That takes care of the fuel problem.
Well, here's a shock. We missed something while we were away, and this time it's fairly large and serious. Christian Fitipaldi got together pretty serious contact, in fact, with the 12 car of Nicholas Manassian. And Fitipaldi, we showed you this whole group running with one another just a few minutes ago. Fitipaldi was not at all pleased with Manassian, so displeased, in fact, that he several times walked over to the car. That's the Simple Green safety team of CART helping Manassian out of the car. He stayed in it. Here's what happened, Parker.
Coming down into turn 3, Christian down on the inside. Scott the line. Gets pinched down by Nicholas.
From Manassian's teammate, Bruno Junqueira, his point of view.
I'll be taking those positions after a quick tank slapper. Thank you.
And here was Christian when it was over.
This is the first time in Portuguese. And then he comes back and tries it in French and or English. I'm not sure.
Yeah, not the world's greatest idea, especially since it does look like Nico might be injured. A lot of attention being paid pay to his right leg. But he's got the best help in the world right there with him. Dr. Terry Trammell's holding on to that leg, noted orthopedic surgeon who takes care not only of all the race drivers, but athletes around the world. Let's look at it again.
On board with Bruno Junqueira coming down the back straightaway into turn 3. You can see on the left side, Christian Fitipaldi making the move under braking. Inside, Nicholas Manassian. They're side by side. Nico comes down. Bruno has to get on the brakes a little harder and waits the back. It steps out. Nice correction back on the throttle.
In its own way, almost reminiscent of turn 1 with Helio Castroneves and Kenny Breck.
Or the move we've seen down with Tora, Jimmy Vasser, nearly with Michael, and with Kenny Breck.
They do use spotters on the ovals.
But that happens.
But they can't measure the width for you, and it happens fast.
It happens very quickly. I've been in situations where they've said, clear, no! And you've already committed yourself, and at that point, it's too late.
So the safety team helps Manassian out of the car. Now that I look again, I may have misidentified Terry Trammell for you. I apologize if I did that. Well, now this will go, I would think, all the way to the finish on fuel. No question there, Gary Gerould. Well, let's go to Jan instead.
I'm with Kim Green, who is on the radio to Michael Andretti. First thing, let's clear up this thing about he was having a problem with the front wings. You think it was related to picking up the front tires?
Well, we're not sure. We certainly, I think, suddenly picked up a little bit of understeer, and I felt maybe he got up into the marbles a little bit, and certainly picked the time back up. You know, it's obviously a bit of a fuel mileage race. This yellow is going to make a difference, and we had a really strong car early on. Hopefully we can put the pressure on Kenny Breck that we need to.
Question is, you said this will help. Will this get you to the end without trouble for fuel?
Well, it's going to be close, but Michael's working the yellow fuel mileage real well, and you know, he likes this racetrack, and obviously won 5 times here in the past, and we've done a great job starting in 10th and moving up where we did. So you know, maybe this can be the first race win for Team Motorola. So Michael's 6th.
A bit non-committal. Let's find out about Kenny Breck's situation with Gary.
Scott Remke here off the headset for a moment with Kenny Breck. How good were you on fuel prior to the yellow? Because it sounded like your numbers were improving.
No, we didn't need this yellow. We were fine. We were leading and good to go to the end, but not really too keen on seeing Michael right there behind us, but I think we got enough car for him.
What do you tell Kenny in this situation?
It's in his hands. He's got fuel. He's got the lead. He'll bring it home.
Feel pretty good thinking about possibly 2 straight?
Too early for that.
And that raised eyebrow says a lot.
And let's not forget that in the race at Japan, Motegi Twin Ring, Kenny Breck wanted his first win in CART, but there he had to face, in fact, a caution that took it right up to the very last lap. He saw the white flag and the green flag at the same time and was able to hold off the charge.
And significantly, Bobby Rahal wasn't present for that first win for Kenny Breck.
But Bobby's here today.
Exactly right.
And jet lagged and tired, running back and forth between Europe and here.
And he's right above our position on the roof spotting today, so he's got a bird's eye view of Kenny Breck and his other driver, of course, Max Pappas.
So now, instead of counting up, we carefully begin to count down the laps, which of course tells everybody that we're close to the finish of this race. If it was a fuel issue at all, it appears to be going away, but I'm also interested that Kim Green was hesitant. I mean, at first they were trying to say, well, we can go all the way under green. They're the spotters up top. Bobby Rahal right in the center.
Doing the cold Milwaukee dance up there.
And it is cold here. About 58, 59 degrees.
Wind's blowing, no, it's a little damp, gives you a nice wind chill on top of that roof.
But we were talking about the fact that Kim Green then suggested, well, we don't know about the fuel with this caution. So does that portray in some way that maybe they weren't quite as close as they thought?
Well, we saw it play out at the last race at Motegi. Our leader, Kenny Breck, getting great mileage, turning great laps.
Drag your brakes a little bit if you think it'll help keep your tire pressures up. I do what I can to keep the humps up.
That's an interesting concept, certainly.
Fuel, not an issue, so you do whatever you can on the tires. Still looking up, it's looking like at least 5 laps you see it, they're still out there.
Now they've got quite a bit still to clean up.
Yeah, 10-4, Scott. Looks like it's still about 5 laps. A lot of oil was up at the top.
Was favoring his leg, and they were helping him with it, and CART is now reporting that they are going to take a harder look at a possible injury to his leg. So 213 are complete. It'll be 214 when they cross the line this time. Kenny Breck, led by Michael Andretti. Looks like we're several laps away from a green flag. Toyota Spotlight is going to take a look back at some of the highlights here today. Lap one. And despite that, Kenny Breck continued on. Michael Andretti charged. And then it was Takagi and Jimmy Vasser. Vasser very unhappy. Breck back to the lead. Scott Remke manages that team from the pits, and then the current caution that we're under came on when this incident occurred between Nicholas Panasian and Christian Fitipaldi, and Fitipaldi quite upset in that. So we had a lot of action, and in fact some history today when Steve Stewart finally flew a black flag, and it meant something. It meant you are out of this race. George Takagi suffering that penalty.
And watching some of these side-by-side accidents, I think about how this racetrack and the other ovals have transitioned over the years. It wasn't that long ago, we used to see cars run lap after lap, side-by-side here. The drivers were very comfortable down low and up high. I remember doing 3-4 laps in a row with Robbie Gordon, 2 inches off my wheels. Now, the drivers assume it's single file through the corners. For the newer drivers, like the rookies, they're not looking for that car on the inside or the high side. Maybe that's part of the problem that we've seen here today.
And wouldn't it be nice if the rules committee could get us back to the time where you could run side by side on the mile? But then again, some of the drivers would be saying, no, I kind of like it where I don't have to do that.
They take you for a ride on the high side. See what you think, Paul.
Yeah, you just climb up there on the rear wing page, and we'll see how you like it. Well, they're now reporting that they hope in just 2 laps that they can go green. The safety team now beginning to move equipment back to their stations around the racetrack. In just 2 weeks, of course, back to the CART FedEx Championship Series, this time with the CART Grand Prix of Detroit on beautiful Belle Isle. Slowly now, about 8 laps to go, we anticipate when they go back to the green flag. And that'll be a sprint. And Kenny Breck, for the 2nd race in a row, will have to, in just the final minutes of the race, try to hold his position and score the win. Unlike last time, he has the master of the Milwaukee Mile, Michael Andretti, right behind him, and that's the last thing I'd like to see in my review.
Don't count out Scott Dixon. He's one back.
This time by. 1 finger this
But
time
he's
by.
got traffic in between in the form of Patrick Carpentier.
Carpentier a lap down, but everybody on the lead lap, which
Okay, you're getting the green. Next time around, you're the boss. Be ready. And also, you got your weight jacker, and there'll be 7 laps to go when you come around and take the green.
1st through 8th all together on the track, and all should theoretically have plenty of fuel to run out these final laps. Gary?
Quick update from the word going to Kenny Breck. Use your brakes to keep the tire pressures up. Partner, what are we talking about there?
You can explain that to me, Gary. I know it's to keep the brakes warm, but I don't know if it has any effect at all on tire pressure. I have to go ask Scott Remke about that after this is over.
What's going through Kenny Breck's mind right now? Him kind of cock his head over and take a look at that left rear view mirror. No.
Well, let's see if he can get a jump like he did at Motegi. His restarts have been flawless.
He's already rolling as they come to the acceleration cones and off at turn 4, looking for the green flag. It's out. Here we go. 8 laps to the finish.
Green.
Scott Dixon clears traffic and is now back in touch with the leaders.
6 seconds, the interval now. Kenny pulled out just a few hundredths. He just wants to maintain this interval now.
Kenny Breck got over the first hurdle with a brilliant restart.
He's done that every single time he's led a race, through last year and into this year.
Field position 11.
We'd love to tell you what fuel position 11 is, but those are among the top figures down at each of the team, and with each team it can mean something different.
Right, even from manufacturer to manufacturer with the same team, it can be a different position.
Jon Beekhuis, Michael Andretti in second. What's the story?
Well, he doesn't have the speed that he wants, and they just told him fuel position 0. And judging by the look on Mario, his father's face shaking back and forth, that's not a good sign. I think in his case, fuel position 0 means he's not going to have the power he needs to go after Pedro.
Interval now just over a second.
Can you imagine the frustration Michael Andretti's feeling? Fortunately for him at least, Scott Dixon is sitting almost a full straightaway back and not able to mount a charge on Andretti.
Well, you mentioned Mario Andretti. Mario gave Lola its first ever championship car win in 1983 at Elkhart. If Kenny Breck hangs on here, it will be the 100th victory 18 years later for Lola.
Kenny Breck has just taken the checkered, or the white flag, 1 lap until the checkered flag, 1 lap until the 100th for Lola. World News tonight, Sunday, is coming up right after the race. We're running very tight on time here in Milwaukee. Kenny Breck comes off the corner, looks for the checkered flag, and there's 2 in a row for Kenny Breck. Kenny Breck. Kenny Breck is the winner here at the Miller Highlight 2:25. And he joins guys like Montoya, Brancati, and Greg Moore, who also won the next race right after their very first career win. Congratulations to Kenny Breck. In 2 weeks, we'll be in Detroit. Paul Payne for Parker Johnstone, Jon Beekhuis, and Gary Gerould. Thanks for joining us here today in Milwaukee. This is ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence.
Other than that, Sean.
We're here, boys.
How about that, Scott Dixon?
Hey, Russ.
Look at Michael push on the wings. Michael is pushing on the wings.
Kenny Breck getting the congratulations from all of his crew as he comes up out of the cockpit, now having won 2 consecutive races. Boy, he broke through 2 weeks ago in Japan, got his first CART victory, and now he came in as the championship points leader, and he is building on that lead. But it was a struggle today with a lot of competition, of course, from Michael Andretti, and we'll get his thoughts about that in just a couple of moments as he struggles here to get everything disconnected and come out of that helmet. The Hans device comes off as well. Kenny, how much of a struggle was it with Michael Andretti? Because there were a couple of times it looked like you were only inches apart.
Well, it was he's a very smart oval driver, obviously, and to keep him behind is it's a feat itself. And he's a great driver. I'm just happy I won. I want to thank you to Ray Hall, to the team, to the crew, and to Ford, Shell, and to Lola. It's their 100th victory today, and that's something to celebrate too. But it was a difficult race today. Difficult, very difficult. No testing, and very slippery in the beginning, as you saw.
I wanted to take you back to the start. There were problems apparently getting temperature in tires. Did you have any anxious moments in those opening laps?
Yeah, well, I try to get as much temperature in my tires as possible, but you know, it's a balance. Hello, boss. I'm glad to do it in front of me.
Bobby Rahal is on scene to congratulate his driver. Did you, in fact, have contact with Castroneves at the start of the race?
I don't think so. I couldn't feel anything. He came down on the outside and pinched me down, but I turned in and my car got sideways and his got sideways too. It was just in one spot. I don't think there was ever any contact.
How good does this one feel after winning 2 weeks ago for the first time?
Amen. Damn good.
That's the Scott Remke and the crew. And of course the beautiful glassware comes in now as the formal presentation is made. Truly a happy group.
And for Michael Andretti, Michael, you had said on the radio you were concerned about the front wings. You got out of the car. First thing you did was check them. Anything seem amiss there?
I can't see it. They got to measure them to see if they went down. We had a problem this morning in practice, and it almost seemed like the same problem, because all of a sudden it went from a pretty good balanced car to just running the head straight into the wall. So it was a little disappointing, but Team Motorola crew did a great job in the pits. They put me out there in the lead, and unfortunately we lost the form on the track there, but we just had too much understeer, so we couldn't really fight them.
How much of an issue was fuel for you? We know that Kenny Breck had plenty, but radio communication said you really had to save.
We were saving for sure. You know, after the last yellow we were fine, but up until then we were trying to save fuel, and you know, that's the way the racing's become. You know, it's all about saving fuel anymore.
Championship points, obviously this is beneficial to you because you've been consistent, you've been at the front, but it's these kind of things about keeping the balance that's going to be the trick, eh?
Well, I guess, yeah. You know, I would have hoped for a win today. I think we had a car that was pretty good most of the day, but it's really difficult to pass with these wings. I think they got to come up with something a little bit better with the rules, you know, to make it that we can run closer to the other guys.
Okay, Michael, we'll see you in Detroit.
Thanks.
Well, Scott Dixon, you go from 8th to the podium. How about close calls for you today? Because a couple of times drivers in traffic had real close adventures. How about you?
Yeah, you know, with these short ovals, it's very hard. You know, if you put on the green, you got to make your in and out laps very good. And you know, Tora Takagi sort of ran us wide there at one stage. We went up into the grey and nearly collected the wall, and we lost a lot of time. I think probably 10 seconds midway through the race because of that. But you know, the car was pretty good. We didn't change tyres on the last run. We just did fuel, so that also, you know, we were running out of tyres towards the end. You know, we had all the fuel, but we just couldn't keep up because we couldn't put the power down.
What does the big finishes with the victory and now a podium finish here at Milwaukee do for a young driver's confidence? Because sometimes we forget, you're still, what, 20 years old?
Yeah, 21 next month, but no, it is excellent, you know, for the team also. You know, obviously gives everybody the confidence level. We know that we can get up here. We know we can do it. And, you know, we just got to keep our heads down and keep working hard so we keep staying up here.
See you in Detroit in a couple of weeks.
Thanks a lot.
The victory parade, your podium finishers, Kenny Breck, Michael Andrew, Dixon. Marking the 100th anniversary of Ford Racing. By the name of Gen X delivery truck. Yeah, what we learn on a racetrack helps build better vehicles for you. Ford. Last three finishers give you a wave all the way down into turn 1. Making her way to the winner's podium is FedEx courier Tammy Griffin. Tammy is about to deliver a very important package. The Miller Lite 225 winner's trophy to Kenny Breck. It just
Today's Speed World coverage of the Miller Lite 225 is brought to you by Miller Lite. Grab a Miller Lite. It's Miller time. And by FedEx, proud sponsor of the FedEx Championship Series.
all in all, you'll take it being on the podium at the mile. Let's go. Give it up for Scott Dixon, third place. They told him not to hold it by the handle. Just to be safe, Scott. Second place today, let's get him up here now. A nice round of applause for no stranger to the Milwaukee Mile, Michael Andretti. Well. Almost 41, huh?
Almost, but Team Motorola did a great job. They finally got up on the podium where they deserve to be, and we're pretty happy. I think it would have been nice to get up one more spot, but we were third last week, second this week, so hopefully first will be great.
I think there's some people in the stands that like the sound of that. Talk about the race car today and the battle with Kenny Breck. We were saying all along, it seemed like the Andretti Breck show. You were trading and swapping the front for a while there. Did you have a strategy to that?
Strategy was the win, so we sort of missed a little bit on that, but we just fought hard all day. It was a little bit of a fuel mileage race here in the middle, and we were doing okay there. And the Honda engine was doing terrific for us, and we were able to get a little screwed out there in the end, but I just didn't have enough to get by him, so it was a little disappointing. But I love coming here to Milwaukee. I love racing here in Milwaukee, and the fans here are awesome, and can't wait for next year.
You love him, he loves you. Michael Andretti, ladies and gentlemen, the trophy presentation. All right, we'll bring up the owner if he can get off his cell phone here. Bobby Rahal is standing by to come up next, but he's not having a conversation right now with someone. We hope it's important. I'm sure it is. The team owner for Team Rahal, Kenny Breck's owner, Bobby Rahal. Congratulations, Bobby.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I came back.
What? Have you back?
Yeah, it was a great race, and Michael and Kenny drove, we got pretty close this time, but they both did very well, and Scott did a super job, and I don't know what he's using for how big that fuel tank is. We have to check that out. But, he went forever on the first stop, but he did a great job, and it was a great race.
The team itself red hot right now with a string of victories here, and first place on top of everything. You couldn't ask for much more, could you, Bobby?
No, I sure couldn't. I'm very proud of the Shell team and really everybody. A lot of people thought when I left that they weren't going to get it done, but they've done a fantastic job. Sure, they don't need me, that's for sure.
I don't know about that, Bobby. Congratulations again on first place at the Milwaukee Mile. Again, another trophy presentation. And I guess we should bring his employee out next and get a word from our race winner. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the after a lot of goals. They loved every minute of you winning this race. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a great victory for the Ray Hall Salesforce team. It was a tough day because it was very difficult conditions. First lap, we were down in turn 1, and then having Martin already in the mirrors all the way through. Won here 5 times. It's nerve-wracking. We made it to the end.
Talk about the battle with Michael at the end there, the late yellow flag, and you had a great restart.
Yeah, I was worried about that, but it's never good when you have a restart that late in the race. Because obviously, you screw up with something, it's easy to get someone have a run at you. But we made a good restart. I think maybe Michael had some problems at the end, and it was a great victory.
Was there any ever doubt? It looked like the car was right there, right from the get-go today.
I think we had a good car. We no one really had very much track time here, and Team Rail's engineering group, the Highway and these guys, they managed to get the car in very, very good. We were a little off the bat this morning, but for the race it was great. Obviously, 4 power. That's I think that's the most powerful engine out there right now. So that helps, and it just we were able to get in the race. It's time to go celebrate. It's Miller time.
Does he know Milwaukee or what? It's Miller time. I think he's ready to hoist the crystal. Congratulations.